All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army Match Week 3 / international break, but we'll get to that. So we're going to start with the hot topic, which is the U.S. men's national team and the Poch-less, Pochettino-less roster drop. We'll hit Premier League. Liverpool ran rampant over United. Rice's red card will be discussed, and obviously an FPL update. Round the world, hit-it-and-quit-it MLS minute, and the man himself. And then stoppage time, Ivan Toney's best bets, and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties. We will start off with Mikey Fowler, a.k.a. Mikey Podcast, looking fresh in the Leeds kit there. Give us the highlight or lowlight, your choice, of your LA trip.
I was quickly reminded just how passionate the LA Gooner fan base is with the Fox and the Hound is the highlight. Lowlight, and I don't know if everybody knows this, they share pubs with other teams and fan bases. So I think that's egregious. So
they do that in Chicago, too. They do that in Chicago. There's just not enough soccer bars, I think.
Stupid.
Well, it's something to build on, right? We're not quite there as a soccer nation, apparently. All right. Also, we got Tyler Terrence, who was actually fresh off a trip to Chicago, where we cuddled and had some beverages and did not see Messi, but we did see Chicago Fire. Give us your schedule this week. What games should we be watching with Tyler Terrence on the mic?
Chicago again against DC United. We got a barn burner, mouth-watering fixture. I mean, you go from 55,000 at Soldier Field on Saturday, and then we're going to just down and dirty Bridgeview, Illinois at SeatGeek Stadium against Troy Lessane's disciplineless bunch that is DC United. However, Sam fan member Alex Bona will most likely be in between the sticks, so we got that to look forward to. But how the mighty have fallen, and by mighty, I just simply mean the crowd, because Chicago are diabolically mediocre once again, and it just breaks my soul. Really does.
I just co-sign that. It's unfortunate. We saw from the Miami game what Chicago can be if the product on the field matches the passion in the fan base. All right, last but never least, Mitchell Goulet, a.k.a. Overtime Mitch. And so, Mitch, this actually comes from last week. I saw you lift up your arm, and I saw a tattoo. Number one, how many tattoos do you have, and what's your favorite one?
Ask your mother. And this one is, my ex's name is Lexi, but they spelt it wrong, so what I'm going to do.
She sounds hot.
That's the address of my old house. I have plenty, and they're not all visible, but yeah. Ask someone you care about. They've probably seen it. Favorite ones are the ones on my thighs. You want me to? All right, here.
Yeah, let's see. Ooh, you got to go to YouTube to get the extra bonus.
Yep. So this is float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, because I jump off my left leg and I kick with my right.
Oh, you're ambipedal. I guess
you jump off your left leg? You mean like any normal right-handed basketball player?
Some people are 2-foot jumpers. Some people are 1-foot jumpers. I prefer.
Well, if you're going to do a 2-foot finish is different than a 1-foot finish in basketball. You should know that. You're a hooper.
Yeah, but
okay.
I'm a primarily left-legged jumper.
As are 99% of right-handed basketball players in this universe.
Sure, but for the story of the tattoo, let me have this.
I love
speaking of let me have this, ask your mother.
Jesus. Let's get to the hot topic, goddammit. All right, we got U.S. men's national team talk because it is the international break, which, pluses and minuses. But the big thing, I think there's two of them. Number one, right off the bat, they dropped the roster. But the fact they dropped the roster, finally, before they announced that we have a coach, is at least worth discussing. As is the terminology they used in the tweet to drop the post. And so I don't actually have it in front of me, but it basically says, as we continue our search for a manager, here's our roster. Tyler, are we nervous about this?
This made me way more anxious about it than I thought I was. That's for damn sure. I mean, why do you need to use that verbiage? And why is it taken? By the way, they waited until the last possible minute to release this roster. I mean, we were arguably the last country outside of, America's Samoa to release our roster for this international window. So, that's concerning in and of itself. And if they're going to use the verbiage while we continue our search, Like, I'm mildly concerned. Again, Sam, you and I had this conversation while I was in Chicago. I think that the transfer window for Chelsea and, like, dealing with the likes of Sterling and Sancho and everything like that, I think that it genuinely held up them being able to check off other things on their list, like Mauricio Pochettino's severance package, which I imagine was at the bottom of that list of things to do. So I think that that's held this up. However, that verbiage also gives them an out if for whatever reason the Pochettino deal falls through. So I don't love it.
Yeah, I think that sums it up for me. I agree that probably the situation at Chelsea, there's probably a lot of complications that they're working through, and Chelsea has had bigger fish to fry with with the transfer window coming to a close. But yeah, I don't love it. I think that's exactly what I'd say. I don't love the terminology. Okay, now the roster itself. Now, do we love this, Mitch? What any thoughts, any reactions to the roster that has 4 goalkeepers, 4 strikers, and obviously some guys not on it who would normally be out there. Weston McKennie, Anthony Robinson. I believe Tanner Tessman would probably be on this based on his recent play. But a lot of these guys are left off because, they moved to new clubs or they just didn't have a preseason. And so, the staff, understandably, is giving them some time to acclimate with their, situation at the club. So that's the backdrop. What are your thoughts, Mitch?
Gaga Slonina was an interesting one. That's somebody that I'd love to see in between the sticks for the red, white, and blue. I think he is our keeper of the future, and I don't know what that future looks like necessarily, but he's somebody that's shown at club level recently on his loan that he can absolutely put in a performance. And I'd love to see him for the United States. And then Marlon Fossey is another name that I'm looking at. Brought in to play outside back. From what I've seen, he can play left or right back. He's got a hell of a head of hair, extremely athletic, and is going to fill that spot that Serginho Dest is not filling during this camp. So those are 2 names that I'm looking at. But overall, it's a camp-friendly roster. We'll see some guys that we haven't seen yet, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Mikey, any thoughts? Any surprises? Any snubs that come to mind?
No. I just think this window is egregious in itself. So giving guys rest that are in serious campaigns is important, and I think we saw that with Anthony Robinson, and I'm glad that there's a little bit of common sense being used by our camp
and the coach, whoever that may be. I mean, we do have an interim coach. Tyler, so Mitch mentioned Gaga. I thought that that was one that I saw come up a lot on Twitter. Where's Gaga? He's playing well, albeit in League One at the moment in England. There are 4 keepers, so the fact there's no Gaga with 4 keepers is sort of interesting. The 4, by the way, are Matt Turner, obviously, who I would argue is locked in at GK1 even with recent struggles. Patrick Schulte from Columbus, Diego Cochin, who is a Barca guy. This kid, so he's sort of on the he's sort of a Sam Fam guy. Him and Adrian Gill, both Barca guys. They, I love this. I love getting him in the mix. Whether it needed to be now, obviously we could argue that. And then Ethan Horvath is the 4th one. Anything stand out there, Tyler?
Not so much standing out. If I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the Federation and then also Gaga's camp, League One isn't taking a break. And him getting important minutes has been a thing, and him just playing has been a problem. So he's going to start over the weekend. And if they already were planning to either use Turner and Schulte in the 2 games, and they already had a game plan, what's the point of bringing him to camp and having him miss out on more minutes? And then, if he continues to perform well, then you can bring him into the next camp. That's sort of my logic behind the whole thing.
Okay, that's fair. You see Schulte playing rather than Horvath?
No, I was just throwing out names.
Okay.
My guess is that Turner's going to play both games, just because he doesn't freaking none of our keepers play at a high level. So there's that.
Okay, fair enough. Now from the outfield players, the actual athletes, anything stand out there, Tyler?
I would like to see Austin Trusty get a run. I think that from a center back standpoint, we don't have it sorted. If I were to tell you who are our 2 center backs for 26. Nobody can give me a straight answer on that. And if you tell me Chris Richards, I'm going to tell you that somebody's going to usurp him between now and 26. So I would like to see Austin Trusty thrown out there. From a defensive standpoint, all of the leave-offs being Jedi Robinson and Weston McKennie, I think all those make sense.
Caleb Wiley's had a good start.
Caleb Wiley has had a very good start. That was a wild first game that he played in for Strasbourg in that 4-3. What was it? It ended up being a loss or a win?
I think they won.
They were like 7 goals. But anyway, and then Lord please, Josh Sargent, can you score a goal and look anything half the part of what you do for your club that you do for your country? Please. I would, because I've been the biggest hater of his for years now, and hater meaning like he's just a guy who constantly pumps in goals for his club and never does so for his country. So I just want to see it translate one time, baby, one time.
Fair enough. Well, that's a good transition point. So let's go to the starting 11. So the games coming up are on Saturday we have Canada, and then on I believe Tuesday we have New Zealand. So we'll talk about the New Zealand game on next week's pod. For this one, we'll focus on the first one, which is Canada. Of these strikers, of the 4 strikers that are on this roster, one being obviously Josh Sargent, the others being Pepe, Balogun, and Haji Wright. Which one are you starting, Mikey?
Haji Wright.
Really?
The one I know the least about.
That's actually funny because there's so many USMNT fans who it's just like, whoever's not in camp, they're the best striker ever. They're the best. They should be. Well, how are they not here? It's just like it's an anger response thing. If we still have a problem
after this long with these guys, then I want to see guys I haven't seen. That's just kind of my thought process there.
Now, I think the majority, the consensus will probably be Fuller and Balogun as a starter. I think he's sort of the brand name. He's the sexy pick. Mitch, what do you think?
In terms of strikers, I don't mind Haji Wright starting. That gives us a really, really different look from what Balogun does, and especially against Canada, which we know that game's going to be pretty CONCACAF-y. I don't know. I kind of like it. Imagine Balogun coming on in like the 65th and giving tired defenders a lot to deal with, a little more movement. Tyler's shaking his head, but I don't mind. I think Balogun will start, and like common sense is Balogun starts, and then Pepe comes off the bench actually. But Haji Wright has played well when he's worn the American kit, so I don't know.
And he's scoring goals for fun for Coventry, just like Haji, just like Sargent is for Norwich or was. Tyler, what are your thoughts here?
Anti Haji Wright, particularly in this window, given the fact that we don't have our proper fullbacks. So where is his delivery going to come from? Haji Wright needs delivery. He needs good delivery. He's not slipping in off the back shoulders of defenders with really clever runs and well-timed and really pacey. It ain't happening. So it needs to be Balogun. If it's Haji Wright, we're going to look like a Nations League C team.
Okay, well then fill in the rest of the 11. We'll go off of you. What's your starting 11 in the Canada game for Saturday?
Turner in goal. I would like to see Austin Trusty next to Tim Ream. I would like to see Caleb Wiley as my left back. Joe Scally as my right back. Midfield, Johnny, Eunice, Gio. And then across the 3, give me Balogun, Brendan Aronson, and Christian Pulisic.
Okay, I think that's
based on the
consensus.
Roster named here. Hold on, based on the roster named here, is this formation going to change at all? Because that's 1, 2, 3.
Well, we don't have a freaking head coach, man.
No, I know, but like
that's I'm agreeing with you. I was like,
this is a window that we can try something. That's 4 strikers and 1 out-and-out winger.
No,
what are we gonna try with our interim head coach, who's going to be the head coach of San Diego FC?
Play
who's
2
eventually
strikers up there. Put Pulisic on the left mid. And yeah, I mean, I don't agree with it, but I'm just looking at the orientation of this roster, and I'm wondering, like, how do 4 strikers see the field? I agree, maybe Brendan Aronson on the outside. I'd also be fine with like Gio on the right, and Malik Tillman filling in that midfield. But this is a strange, I guess, allocation of players and their positions that we've named.
I mean, listen, 4 keepers and 4 strikers. That means that you're going to be, a little light on some of the some of the other positions. The one that stood out to me from your 11 that I think most people might sort of want somebody else was the Aronson. I know he's fallen out of favor big time with USMNT fans.
But to Mitch's point, as far as wingers go, like we're light in that area.
True, and he's played well for Leeds this season, no doubt. Okay, Mitch, you sign off on that 11?
Yeah, for the most part. I'd love to see Malik Tillman get some run in. He's been phenomenal for PSV. Always been a big Luca Del Torre fan.
Oh, I want to see Ada Morris start a game next to Eunice.
That'd be fun.
I'd like to see that, please.
That'll definitely probably not happen against Canada. Maybe New Zealand.
Sure.
So you think Tim Ream and Austin Trusty start over Chris Richards?
No, that's what I want to see.
Okay, yeah, okay.
All right.
I think Chris Richards starts alongside Tim Ream.
I know the podcast hasn't been released as we're currently recording it, but I can already feel my Twitter account blowing up for not stating that that's what I want to see as opposed to what's going to happen.
So. Got to be clear. Got to be very clear there. Now, anybody have anybody other than Turner between the sticks?
I can see Horvath getting a run in the New Zealand game, but he's not going to be tested all that much.
Now,
hopefully.
Is there an argument to be made? This is going to sound like an anti-Horvath, monologue, but is there any reason to give him minutes? I mean, I think it's clear that Matt Turner is a better keeper. We have these kids who we want to sort of start to develop. Doesn't it make sense to sort of move in that direction? Tyler, you say no?
Well, I'm saying you could say that about every keeper in terms of either the level that they're playing at or their lack of playing time. I don't know. We're in a really weird spot. This is the worst goalkeeping pool we've had in a long, long time. Long time.
Least accomplished, for sure. I mean, there's other guys that easily could have been on this roster as well. Drake Callender, Sam Pham, why am I blanking on his name? Colorado Rapids.
You could have made an argument for Zach Steffen.
That's what I was actually blanking on. Zach Steffen easily could have been on the roster. Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm good with your 11 for the most part. I think Aronson. I'd probably like to see somebody like Tillman or somebody else. I think Tillman's been
Tillman's not
phenomenal.
really a winger. Tillman's not really a winger though.
I feel like he's not been playing that at all in the Eredivisie. Maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Any thoughts here on the Canada games, on this window, on not having a coach? Anything we've missed, Mikey? I feel like you're.
Please, Todd Boehly, just be American and let him go.
Who?
Pochettino.
Oh,
this has nothing to do with that.
Seriously, be American. Be an American for me one time, Todd Boehly. All right, we'll move on to the Premier League, where we are off a big weekend of games. Some people are happy, some people are sad, some people are pissed off. And in that order, I think we got Tyler, we got Sam, and then we got Mikey / Mitch. But really, the hate is all coming from Mikey at this point. So let's start with you, Mikey. Which of these notable games? I'll throw some out. United got spanked by Liverpool 0-3 at home. Arsenal Brighton, a red card aided 1-1 draw with between Arsenal and Brighton. Newcastle came out winners 2-1 over Tottenham, despite I don't even know if they touched the ball in the second half. Everton collapsed in historic fashion, giving up 3 goals in the last, 5 minutes of the game to Bournemouth and losing. And then there was West Ham just getting shellacked by City. And, of course, Haaland had 3 goals because that's literally what he does every week. So, of those or any other games, Mikey, what are we talking about?
Where do I want to start? Is that what you're asking
Yes.
me? Listen, we're going to delay the inevitable conversation here about Declan Rice and the state of the PGMOL and as a whole. And I just want to talk quickly about how it's very rare you see what happened at Goodison Park in your lifetime. To say I enjoyed it would be an understatement. To say it was hilarious would not do it justice. It was a collapse that you read about in books and you wonder, is this too far-fetched for me to believe? And then, Everton tweeting out, please make sure to send in your pictures from the day. It was just a top to bottom calamitous. Again, we're delaying the frustration really about the Arsenal match, but that was, to put it lightly, one of the funniest things I've seen in a few years.
Now, funny is a one way to take it. I was like just dumbstruck by what happened. I mean, like
that does not happen.
We were texting, and like when Everton finally scored a goal, I think that was their first goal of the season. Like I think I texted you guys that like no team has ever needed to score a goal as bad as Everton did right there, and then they scored a second one. So kind of it was like a big sigh of relief, happiness, all that. 2-0 going into like I don't know 87th minute or something like that. And they gave up 3 goals to lose. Just, I mean, with the fan base was already all over the players. Like there were all sorts of videos about the fans getting on the players, like coming off the train or bus or whatever that was. I can't even imagine what. Maybe they were just too dejected to really sort of be angry at that point. I don't know. That's a great shout as the first game to bring up, though. Tyler, it looks like you got something to add.
No, I mean, other than the fact that like, not only, I mean, I sign off on everything Mikey said, but for how poor Bournemouth had played for 86 minutes and how good Everton had been. Like, it wasn't one of those games where you just sort of felt like Bournemouth deserved more out of the game. They deserved nothing out of the game. Like, beyond nothing. And Everton just gave it to them.
They took all of it.
And I don't even think it was like Bournemouth deserved nothing out of the game. Like, they almost... Well, I was trying to think back to their other games, and I might be mistaken because they played West Ham before that. They did absolutely nothing that whole game, but then I think they've actually got some draws before then. Yeah, just an incredible turn of events, and I guess we should have an Everton fan on at some point here and just sort of get their thoughts because it must be just a terrible way to live your life at the moment, I guess. Now let's get to the inevitable. All right, this and we're not talking about the United or Mo Salah scoring at Old Trafford, which is basically inevitable, or the Haaland scoring a hat trick, which is basically inevitable, or us laughing at Tyler Terrence for not having Haaland on his FPL team because that is also inevitability. What we're talking here is the Arsenal match. So, Mitch, well, before we get to the hater in chief, Mikey, let's start with you. So, what did you think about this game? What did you think about the call? And what are sort of the takeaways here?
The game was fine for 45 minutes. The game was kind of going exactly to plan. That call, there's a lot of marginal, subjective, like just common sense calls in a game that you do not make. When a keeper holds the ball for longer than 6 seconds, how many illegal throws do you see in the course of a very regular Premier League game? How many times do players swarm the referee, which by the books is a yellow card? How many times do players move the ball up or backward or to the side from where a foul was actually taken and take the free kick from there? By the letter of the law, that is a yellow card. Yeah. But by every ounce of common sense that everybody in that stadium has, that's bullshit. That's absolute dog shit. And to not give a card for violent conduct for just kicking an opposing player is crazy as well. Because you can't, in absolutely no form, can you argue that, he was trying to play the ball that he had set down for a free kick. One, the ball was moving, so you can't take a free kick while the ball is moving. If we're, again, going by the letter of the law, which is the argument that everybody has made in the referee's behalf. Kavanaugh's an absolute terrorist, but we can get into that later. To not give a yellow at the very least for violent conduct for kicking another player, it changes the game. It makes the referee the center of the attention for that moment and changes the entire course of the game, in which Brighton had no real chances up until then. You put them up a man, and you change not only that game, but the course of the entire season. So, no,
Ooh.
I'm not thrilled with that game.
That's a spicy meatball. If you're going
well, it's 2 points dropped that the referee had entire hand in controlling. Can you tell me with a straight face that Brighton would have equalized or come out with any points?
You can't. You never know.
No, you can't. No, you're right. You can't. But can you speculate for me? Do you want to speculate? That
I don't want to speculate because this is delicious. Listening to this is really.
It's fucking dog shit. It's crazy that a referee can have that much hatred in his heart, and power to alter a game with just a pettiest
hatred in his heart. Can I step in here? I've held my tongue long enough.
Yeah.
Okay? Because from where I'm sitting, if you're the referee and you don't call that, for the rest of the game, you cannot call a yellow card on a prevention of a restart. And Mitchell.
He did it in the first half. When the ball runs out and Joao Pedro boots the ball ways
I think
into the
that's
next
exactly.
zone.
I think Tyler's exactly talking about the fact that he didn't call it earlier in the match, so he wasn't allowed to do the Declan one, right?
Oh, am I just trying to jump on you? Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No, Mikey, I wasn't. But hold on a second. He has to call it at some point.
Yep.
I don't think.
Might as well do it when a guy's already on one.
See, hold on a second. But Mitchell, you know just as well as I do, when you're in the heat of the moment, particularly if you're you've never refereed a Premier League game, but when you're running and your heart rate's up like that, you can't always remember exactly who's on a card and who's not on a card, which is honestly the way that it should be. You should be giving yellow cards out based upon the infraction and not based upon the fact that they have a yellow card already.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that in mind, he can't not give a yellow card for the prevention of a restart for the entirety of the game. Should there have been consistency? Absolutely. I'm always calling for that. But at the same time, it's a yellow card. It was so egregious that he was trying to prevent it. It was so egregious. Egregious, Mitchell. He is already in the motion to go and try to play the ball and start a counterattack, and he kicks the ball away. It's egregious.
He's not trying to kick the ball.
This is the egregious word here.
Ball.
He taps the ball.
It does not allow him to restart the play. It is a yellow card every single day of the week. I'm not saying what Joao Pedro did is not a yellow card, but if it's that obvious in front of the referee and he's already in the motion of going to do it, it's a yellow card for me every single day of the week.
I don't think Veltman's trying to kick the ball at all. The ball's rolling, and he knows what's going to happen there. He's trying to hit Declan Rice for getting in the way. He's not trying to hit.
He's trying to hit Declan Rice.
Either way, Declan Rice should be nowhere near that play because he's on a yellow. Should be nowhere near it.
I'm not going to say Declan Rice is innocent in all this. Absolutely not.
I am.
Also, to be innocent is not the word that I would use to describe it. That's a very, very normal interaction between a player that has just been fouled and the restart. There was the only extraordinary part of that was Veltman taking a boot to Declan Rice's shin. That's what made this the event that it was. Declan Rice trying to poke a ball away on a restart, that happens 20 times a week. But the fact that he was kicked and the fact that Veltman decided to make a meal out of it and knew exactly what it's 200 IQ from Veltman, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, he shouldn't have done that, but it's not a yellow. That's simply not a yellow card.
One thing I'll add here, number one, I disagree. That is a yellow card. If you do, it was just too obvious. It was too
Veltman?
for Rice.
For Rice.
I do think if you watch the replay and you watch Rice kind of rolling around on the ground, obviously he was kind of worried about getting a yellow card. If you look at Veltman, he thinks he's getting carded. He did think he was getting carded, and
good reason. He just assaulted someone.
I could understand him getting a yellow card as well for the
Does it really matter whether or not was Veltman on a yellow card at that point in time?
No.
Then why does it matter whether or not he gets shown a yellow?
If there's a situation where you're like both of you are dickheads, you're both being booked.
Yep.
That's one thing. This is a different thing entirely.
They were both being dickheads, though.
This is now a booking for Declan Rice. This is not a you two are idiots booking.
But Mikey and Mitch, I understand. Listen, nobody was more red hot, and I still haven't let it go than the offside calamity and the VAR miscommunication than last year against Spurs. Okay, I still haven't let it go.
Really?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But with all that in mind, Mitch, you guys both know that this is something that the PGMOL has they've been trying to crack down on it for years.
Then tell me why that's where it started on that day.
Because I'm telling you, take away the fact that he flicked it as opposed to sent it into Rosette. Veltman is in the motion of trying to restart the play. Whether or not he's trying...
The ball's rolling. He can't restart the play.
Yeah. Well, you can't try.
Yeah,
you can try. That's why it wasn't an actual restart, but he was trying to.
Tell me why VAR can't come in and say if he had kicked the ball, it wouldn't have been.
Well, it doesn't fall under the purview of what you're allowed to review or not. That's why.
Well, if the ball's rolling when a restart happens and they score a goal off it, you can review whether or not the ball was rolling.
That's because it's a goal.
This is bigger than that.
This is more. It ends up being more impactful. And again, I don't think either of our gripe is with the actual issuance of the yellow card.
It's with the understanding of the moment. It's a football purist's mentality. Yes, I agree.
It's the overarching consistency that is lacking.
I don't think you need to be a purist to look at that and think that that's fucking ridiculous.
No, that as its own instance is ridiculous, to give the player that was kicked a yellow card and not give Veltman a yellow.
The play itself is like, I'm okay with that. I think it should be a yellow card. I also totally understand the fact that the ref, Chris Kavanaugh, who allowed Joel Linton to take off somebody's head the weekend before, he called. I disagree with the fact that I understand the disagreement with him injecting himself so prominently into the game. And he decided that he dictated the result, right? I mean, like, I think what Mitch was saying, and, I agree, like, if that game just continued with no changes, no subs that made a huge impact, Arsenal was going to win that game. Like, they were in control and all that. But the ref changed that, completely changed that, and in a big way and early in the game. So, I mean, I can understand the gripe with not having a more holistic picture of the situation and allowing Rice to get away with it. But I'm still on the side of that was yellow card, and I get it.
I won't rant on this much longer, but during the course of a game, referees have license to use their discretion and interpret the laws of the game either by the letter of the law or with a subjective lens. And like the examples I mentioned before, like when a goalkeeper is maybe holding the ball for longer than 6 seconds, or somebody's taking a little while to restart, you have the right as a referee to either say, come on, get the ball in play, or caution them. You have the right to do that. You have the right to use your discretion. And the very last law of the game, as taught in every referee course, is common sense. Common sense says not to give a yellow in an instance where a player was just fouled and maybe pokes the ball away with his toe, but is also kicked. What's better for the game as a whole in that situation? To give 2 yellows, and, well, 1 yellow in this case, but to caution both players, or to say, hey, break it the fuck up, let's keep the game going?
Can I just watched it back 17 more times. I would like to throw in the fact that there's a possibility that Kavanaugh didn't see that the ball was moving, which
I doubt that he did.
Which is human error, because he was looking at the play, but
I forgive him then.
Looking at where the play happened. But what I will say, if this happened on the other side of the field and the assistant referee is there, what should have happened is the assistant referee talks to Kavanaugh and says, listen, this might be a prevention of a restart, but you would have never allowed the restart because the ball was moving. So therefore, it should be no yellow card for either. And I would have been okay with that given what ended up happening. But again, I think it's because of the fact that he was already in motion. I agree that Veltman probably never thought that he was going to actually get that away, but that he was more so just trying to kick it, and he knew that Rice was on a yellow card. And Kavanaugh doesn't go to his pocket until Brighton players were telling him that he was on a second yellow, which again,
he didn't see what he thinks he saw, and that is just a different conversation entirely. Like I don't think he had any grasp on what happened. So his default is to second yellow Declan Rice. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. This has been a thing. Every fan base feels like they're the one, right? But like, I'm really starting to figure this out.
But this goes back to what I was saying after the Spurs game last year, and how everything is re-refereed, and the natural instincts from referees and the common sense that Mitch is talking about that is preached to them goes out the window when the letter of the law is being shoved down their throat, when VAR is at play, when assistant referees are holding flags on offside plays. The gut instinct of these guys who have been around football their entire lives has been ripped away from them. That I will sign up for. And no, that should not have ended in a yellow card. But I think given the way that it happened and Veltman was already in the motion, if Kavanaugh didn't see the ball moving, then it's a yellow card for him by the letter of the law, which again I don't agree with. But anyway.
It's interesting that like Chris Kavanaugh was at the center of the two sort of highest profile, I think what a lot of people would argue were either errors or at least, hot button calls 2 weeks in a row.
Hey, that's why we watch, though.
It is, and it's probably why he'll be a fourth official. For
You guys are taking up all my time to talk about Liverpool right now.
Yeah,
all
sorry.
of it.
Let's move on. You're happy. Let's let the happy guy talk for a little while. So United of Manchester, and Liverpool went about how it usually goes, I guess. Mo Salah scored, and Liverpool ran rampant is the line I was trying to think of earlier. 3-0, just it was a shit kicking. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts here?
The shit kicking part, I think I would agree with until the first goal. Everything after that was a mess from United. After they got scored on, they were just chasing shadows out there. I actually think that United were playing well, and I was nervous they were going to get the first one. But I am so horribly, irreversibly, irreparably in love with Arne Slot and like what's going on right now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I will say this. Very rarely when you're saying goodbye to a club legend, and you can argue with me until you're blue in the face about what Jurgen won or didn't win, okay? Fact of the matter is that he got to 3 Champions League finals, he won one of them, and he won a Premier League during the greatest dynasty that this league has ever seen since Sir Alex Ferguson, if not even more dominant. To possibly now have gotten the signing right for the new head coach is so impossibly difficult. And it looks like they have. Because his demeanor and the way that he has sort of added like a little bit of volume to this group, I think could be the secret sauce to like sort of getting a stranglehold on what can be heavy metal, out of control. Because like even if you look at the way that they defend now, and I thought that Robbie Mustoe did an incredible job of breaking everything down, and the NBC studio has taken their game up a notch with the tactical board and everything like that, and again, amazing coverage from them. But I thought he did an amazing job describing like the balance that Liverpool have, having 4 across the back. Robertson and Trent don't go as often as we see them go, and then Gravenberch tucks in when Trent or pushes out to the wide spot where Trent typically is, so then Trent doesn't have to retreat and then get stuck in 1v1 situations, which we know he's not good at, and Gravenberch, who's an incredible athlete, is actually in that spot in transitional moments. So with all that said, big picture, like this was just you couldn't have asked for more from Liverpool. Like just absolutely delicious, and to watch United flail about, watch Casemiro just absolutely shit and fart in his pants at the same time for 45 minutes was so wonderfully delicious. I can't even begin to describe to you like how happy I am. And this is fuck, man. We're back. We're all the way back.
He's so in on Arne Slot right now. Yeah, we were texting back and forth that because you're right. The initial part of the game, it was kind of back and forth. Like United, it looks like now we're holding it together with chewing gum and toothpicks. But at the time, it looked like they were sort of going head to head with Liverpool. And then that first goal went in, and it was just actually it was not the first goal, but it was like sort of the first 5 minutes right before that goal. They just kept
couple
giving
of really
the ball
bad
away.
giveaways.
Just kept giving the ball away. Garnacho, Casemiro, more Casemiro, and he was terrible. Like that was just an unbelievably atrocious performance, which actually we're going to get to in the weekly what if. So I'll hold off on that a little bit. But yeah, it was just terrible. I mean, at this point, what can United do? Is this Ten Hag's got to go?
I said on Sirius XM the other day, I was like, I don't want to get too dramatic about this game, but this could set the tone for the rest of the season for both teams. If Liverpool come out and shellac them or vice versa. Because of everything, in terms of Liverpool and Arne Slot and first visit to Old Trafford and everything like that. But that's embarrassing for Erik Ten Hag to get wiped across the field like he did, with all of the continuity and having the same coach and getting some new signings in and all this bullshit, and Liverpool, who make one signing, who was in the stands watching the game, and are able to dick them around like that for 90 minutes. And Erik Ten Hag was kept on board for the sake of having the same voice in the dressing room. And a guy who's had 6 weeks to work with this group, that is embarrassing. He should have already been gone. It's Monday. He should have been fired. They don't celebrate Labor Day over there. Relieve him of his duties and have him go coach Feyenoord, because that was an embarrassment, and there's no way he should have been kept on board. Like really, like if I'm a United fan, I don't watch any more games until he's gone. Like just disgusting, really disgusting.
I was a big sort of Ten Hag defender for a while because I felt he was dealt a tough hand, just like pretty much every manager before him. But we're getting to the point now where he's got all his players. He's got the guys out that he doesn't want. Sancho's gone. Ronnie's gone. You know, the problems, according to him anyway, they're gone. The roster's been overhauled. They've got guys that he wanted, pretty much the entire, Eredivisie that he's ever coached. And they just lost 3-0 at home in a, embarrassing fashion. So I it's tough to defend Ten Hag at this point. I don't know. I guess that's all I got. Mikey, you haven't said much in a while.
I hired him in 2022. I think it's about time you know what you got.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right, quickly, any other games? So there's the Newcastle-Tottenham game.
We should talk about that for a minute.
Should we?
Would you rather go on vacation in a Speedo in Antarctica or go to St. James Park again?
Yeah, they just got our number there. Not going to lie. I mean, listen, this was at least a game. It was a back and forth. I felt like we could have and maybe should have won this game, as opposed to some of the other trips there, which I think we were down like 5-0 after like 8 minutes one time.
Isak just sees you lily whites in his eyes.
Right. So this was not that, though. I mean, this game felt like one that was crying out, desperate for Tottenham to have a 9. And at the moment, we don't. We should, a good team, or maybe a great team, finds a way to win anyway. We're not that. Like, we're a very good team. I really like our 11 when we had that 11 out there. Once you take away Solanke, and especially once you take away Van de Ven, we're just not that. We're not that team. We're not that team, guy. So I thought we could have won, should have won, but Liverpool's a good team. I'm not worried. I said it last week, and Tyler got on me about that. I'm not worried. This performance was good. This is not a title-winning team, likely, we're a top 4 team, and hopefully that performance. I see nothing from that performance that said that we shouldn't finish top 4.
You look at that performance and think, yeah, we could finish 4th.
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Newcastle's been very bad. Right?
How much crack did you smoke this weekend?
We had all kinds of looks. We had all the possession, which I know is not exactly say much. But listen, we went to St. James Park, where we have not played well, and we played,
and then didn't
fine.
play well.
No, we did. We played fine. We didn't win.
We went to St. James Park, where we haven't played well in the past. We marched in, and we lost 2-1. So, yeah, top 4. That's what you're saying right now.
Yeah, I am. This team
you sound like me. You sound like me right now. I'm just gonna keep it real.
That's not a compliment. I don't like that at all. But I mean, we had 20 shots, right? I think Newcastle probably had 8 or 9. Listen, this was a team without a striker. That's how we played. We played like a team without a striker. We had all the ball. We actually created some chances. We didn't finish anything. That's what happens when you don't have a 9 sometimes. I mean, I'm not worried.
Mikey, he's caught up on this whole number 9 business again.
Yeah, he is.
He's not on the train yet.
Nope.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried. They caught us with a
Don't
sucker
you think
punch.
maybe you had most of the ball and dominated the play because you had one extra guy everywhere else because you weren't playing a 9?
Maybe.
Do you think maybe you played right into Newcastle's hands?
I mean, the result would suggest so, I guess. But listen.
I have a question for you, a real one though. My finger slipped a few times and I retweeted some Ange out stuff this weekend. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of those. But how do you feel about your fan base turning on your guy?
Oh, that's ridiculous. Those are some clowns. Probably false flag, not Liverpool, Arsenal fans who are out there.
Oh, that's a good theory.
I mean, it's a good theory. I'm pretty sure that's a
I don't know
factual.
why I'd want him out.
Factual statement. Ange is great. I love Ange. I am fully on board and in belief and faithful to Ange. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. We'll be just fine. Any other games? We got the West Ham City, which Haaland all day, every day, or anything else? Or are we done with? We're done with the Premier League here.
Big picture, just give me a yes or no. When it's all said and done, is Erling Haaland going to be the best Premier League striker of all time?
It might already be said and done.
No.
When he hangs him up.
God, it really just depends on how long he stays.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
If he stayed for 3 seasons and won 3 Golden Boots and set the Premier League record each time he went out there, I think he would he would have to be the greatest Premier League striker of all time.
And he's already got the sort of the leg up on Harry Kane because of all his Premier League trophies.
Because of any trophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but Harry Kane won about 4 different trophies just last week with
Shaped
Bayern.
like gunners.
Yes, shaped like Arsenal logo, which is rather coincidental. Yes, I guess I would say no because I think he's not going to be there long enough. That'd be my guess.
Okay.
Just my guess. All right, let's do a quick FPL roundup here. First from
Can't
the
believe Mitch is still
Sam's
ahead.
Army. We'll get to the Council of Elders
Let's
soon. We
do
got to
it.
give the shout out to the guys at the top of the leaderboard here in the podcast league. So Flip FC, Alex Shushko, is in first place with 264
Again,
points.
this kid is holding form. It's him and everybody else.
He's got twice as many points as me. Jesus Christ. All right, Alex Shushko.
Top 4 performance. Yep.
You're good. Double B's, Brian Stopar is in second place. McAllister's Deli, Harrison York, always near the top of the leaderboard. You're in third. Tony Baloney, Ryan Olsen in fourth. And then fifth, Kyle. Just Kyle. Very simple. Kyle. Kyle McGurn.
Brazilian.
Yeah, I guess so. Now to the Sam's Army Council of Elders League. So the high score for the league would be Mikey Fowler. Well done. You're still in second place, though, by 1 point to Mr. Mitchell Goulet. Wait,
You're saying the highest score, meaning in 1
this
week.
week.
Yeah,
For the week.
of week this the game week
I
3.
will win this league. I need Mitch to go away.
Mitch is on top still at 225 points. He scored 72. Mikey scored 75. Both had very, relatively good weeks. So you guys are at 225 points and 224 points. And we got a little gap to the third place, which is actually me. I scored 65, which is basically right at the average for this week. I'm at 202. Mick Gunners in fourth, scored 63. He's at 192. And then we got another gap, FCTT, who did have you had a decent week there, Tyler, especially considering you didn't have Haaland, and you scored 69 points. Very nice.
Yeah, 34.
He put the video game on impossible mode, and he's trying to play.
Thank God.
Yeah,
He's still
because
like
it'd be too easy for me if I had Haaland on my team.
Yeah, that's right.
Me and Sheshko would be timed for first right now in the podcast league.
Just like Sam, it'd be too easy if Spurs had a 9.
I made changes. I stacked up a couple of transfers and I sent some people packing. One of them being your boy Martin Odegaard, fucking fraud. I took him out, and then who did I put in there?
Overvalued in fantasy, yeah.
Big time.
I dropped Doku from the starting 11. I put Onana in because he's put up 10 and 9 in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then, stand by, please. I picked up Matoma, and I picked up Luis Diaz.
Sure.
Big week.
So I dropped Jota and I dropped Odegaard. So
I had Matoma for a bit last year, and it was a really romantic choice because I love the way he plays, but he just doesn't contribute all that much in goals and assists. Like, it doesn't translate to fantasy all that often, but I'm sure it'll work for you. You're, what, 5th right now?
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
it'll work for you. Yeah.
big brain move. Maybe Minte or whatever his name is will draw some more attention, and then
Sure.
Matoma will end up. I don't know.
Sure. I know
Or you
that.
can
I know
get
that.
Holland. You don't have to
Yeah,
ask
or
for
you
Link
can just,
or
or you
your
can get a guy that-
Trust me, I tried from a money stand. I can't afford him yet.
All right, something for the future. All right, we're now at halftime, which is not halftime. We're almost done with the show because it's a very front-heavy episode with USMNT and then Premier League. But we're at the segment called halftime, which is weekly what if time. So remember, we're talking about Casemiro and his a game to forget. So weekly what if. You are a holding midfielder who has played for the biggest clubs in the world, won the most prestigious trophies out there, but you're on the wrong side of 30 years old and getting absolutely worked in the first half of a game against your arch rival. This is a hypothetical. Would you be more embarrassed by getting yanked at halftime or the coach letting you come back out and potentially getting work some more?
Oh, mate, I would have pulled my hamstring in air quotes in the 43rd minute.
Make sure
10 times out of
everybody
10.
knows. Yeah, I mean, you probably should have started doing the little limp here and there, for a few minutes.
100%.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay.
I would have been okay with getting yanked, put me out of my misery, and I'm on the phone with my agent to call up LAFC and see if I can get on the side for a senior minimum.
100%.
We're going MLS over the Saudi money, even though you could probably get a hell of a lot more money over there.
I'm picking up any club that calls, and I'm saying, yep, get me on that roster by the 90th minute.
And we'll never hear from Mitchell Goulet ever again. But if you play in MLS, you'll be a hero forever.
All right, round the world time. The Minute Man. It's your time to shine here. MLS hit it and quit it minute. Tyler Terrence, take it away.
All right, let's start with a little derby matchup between Red Bulls and Philadelphia. This game being played in beautiful Harrison, New Jersey, but nothing beautiful about the performance for the home side. Philadelphia 2-0 winners who are starting to string some results together, so mazel tov to Jim Curtin and company. Meanwhile, Toronto FC playing host to DC United. That means the return to BMO Field for one Alex Bono, a.k.a. Sam Fam Alex Bono, and DC come away with a 3-1 win. So big win for Troy Lesesne and company, who have been struggling as of late. Charlotte and Atlanta, a little Southern Derby action, and the game was being played at Bank of America in Charlotte. Atlanta coming away with a 1-0 win, despite the fact that they've been painfully mediocre throughout the course of the season. Orlando City and Nashville, a little Southeast rivalry action going on there. What to make of Oscar Pareja's side, I don't know. They get a 3-0 win over BJ Callahan's group, who have gotten off to a woeful start since the U.S. men's national team interim head coach has taken over. FC Cincinnati, they were a little upset about that loss against Inter Miami. They took it out on the Canadians, 4-1 over CF Montreal at TQL Stadium. Meanwhile, let's go about 90 minutes up 71 North, and let's head to Lower.com Field, the home of the reigning champions of both MLS Cup and Leagues Cup. Columbus 4-2 against NYCFC, a red card for Nick Cushing's side, but a big win again for the crew, who continue to rock and roll. Now let's head over to the Lakefront and the Windy City. Chicago Fire against Inter Miami. Reverse score from the same fixture at Soldier Field last year in front of 65,000. Inter Miami with a 4-1 win, an own goal after a bizarre sequence that featured a Chris Brady save off a great strike from Luis Suarez, and then it came off the midsection of Tobias Solquist. Miami would take a 3-0 lead thanks to 2 goals from Luis Suarez, and then Robert Taylor would put it away off the bench. Chicago 4-1 losers at home, and they are just they're not a playoff team. I'm sorry for all you Chicago Fire Sam fans out there. It just ain't happening this season. Let's go over to Texas. Austin FC against Vancouver Whitecaps. We love a little Vandy Sartini, and we love a little 1-0 win on the road for the Canadian side. Big win for Vancouver, who continue to prove to be a decent out in the Western Conference. FC Dallas and Colorado, over lovers. You would have loved this game. 3-2 is the final score. Colorado come away victors by a score of 3-2. Darren Yappy with the game winner. It's Yappy Hour in Texas, and of course that name is the one that you heard against Toluca in Leagues Cup when they upset the Liga MX side. Real Salt Lake 2-0 winners over New England, as RSL continue to prove to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. LAFC at home, coming off of just a diabolical stretch, game after game after game. They've had 3-game weeks for the past month or so, and it finally catches up to them. They fall to Ben Olsen's side by a score of 2-0, but LAFC will have a crack at another trophy on September 25th in U.S. Open Cup final against Sporting Kansas City. Now a little Cascadia rivalry between Seattle and Portland come away winners by a score of 1-0. A rare win for the home side in this rivalry, as it has been dominated by the away side over the past several years since Seattle fall, and it has been a struggle for them. However, they did pick up a big win against Minnesota United last weekend, so they're sort of holding form in the Western Conference. And then San Jose fall for a second time in the last month and a half against Minnesota United. Big win for Eric Ramsey and company. And then St. Louis City and LA Galaxy would round out the matches on match day number 30 in Major League Soccer, and St. Louis City with a big 2-1 win over Marco Royce's LA Galaxy. That game was in St. Louis. Toy Shirt with a goal, and just a solid performance from St. Louis City against a very talented LA Galaxy side. So the gap for Supporter Shield grows even bigger for Inter Miami. They now have a 7-point lead atop of the Supporter Shield standings, and Messi has only played in, 12 games this season. So kudos to Tata Martino and Chris Henderson, the chief soccer officer of Inter Miami, for being able to bolster up this roster and being able to play without the GOAT, because they have done so beautifully throughout the entirety of the season. And that would do it for match day number 30 in MLS.
Well done, sir. Well done, sir. Yes, we were walking away from Soldier Field talking about the Miami team. They're stacked. Even the guys they're bringing Robert
Clean
Taylor
everywhere on the field, everywhere,
and then off the bench as well.
Yeah,
which in MLS is just that's next level. Okay, well, I was going to ask you about the U.S. Open Cup update, but you worked it in there seamlessly. That's why you're the best in the business. So we'll move on to stoppage time. Ivan Toney's best bet time. All right. Mea culpa. Listen, I stunk. I stunk again. Another week of 2 and 3, which in the big scheme of things is a loss. So I got 2 right, 3 wrong. That's not good enough. We got to do better. So we're going to go searching for goals with the goal hat on. This is the hat. And I don't know. This may be a bad week to start this because it's an international break. You got to dig real deep. But That's what the hat's all about. I was going to have like a magnifying glass and go searching for goals, but I don't got one of those. Anyway, so what we're going to do here on Wednesdays, we're going to go to Denmark. Danish Cup game. AC Horsens is their second division team hosting Viborg, who is a very bad top division team. These teams, Viborg especially, like goals left and right. So we're loving this. And Denmark, the Danish Cup on Wednesday. Thursday, we are digging real deep here. Bonaire and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Nations League.
You know who coaches St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Is that the former
Fire head coach,
yeah.
Ezra Hendrickson, an MLS legend. Yep.
All right, let's go score some goals this week.
Bonaire,
Ezra,
great place to dive.
on Thursday. That's as well. That's true as well. My dad's been there. Friday, we're going the big high-profile France versus Italy in UEFA Nations League. Saturday, we're going to the Tim Parker Derby. New England versus St. Louis in MLS. Mikey, you're not liking that?
Did I just hear you say France, Italy over?
I did. Yes. We're getting that.
Oh,
we're getting that. I know. France, they scored what? Like 2 goals? 2 goals for the entire Europas? Or Euros? I know.
All right. Okay.
That's why we're getting good odds here, Mikey. That's why we're getting good odds.
All right. Over 1.5.
This is what the hat's all about, Mikey. It's about trust, faith, and goals. Okay.
Did you just come up with that? Did you plan this at all with the hat, or does that?
I just saw it right there, and I had to switch something up.
You're pulling shit out of your ass.
I had to
Good
change
for you.
something up. I've been
taking that right
2 weeks
now,
in a
Sam.
row. I've
You've
gone
been
2
on
and
one.
3.
You've been on one this episode. Spurs top 4 performance after a 2-1 loss on the road. Keep going.
And then finally, after the Tim Parker Derby on Saturday night, we got Sunday. We're going to Iceland. This game is no brainer. This is going to be easy win in Iceland. I can't pronounce them to save my life. Vestmannaeyjar and Grindavik in Iceland, and that's in the second
Do you know who
division.
coaches Grindavik?
What's that?
Do you know who coaches Grindavik?
I do not. Is it Ezra?
I
Hendrickson?
know.
Greg Berhalter.
Someday. Okay, so there we go. Ivan Toney's best bets, overtrained, 5-a-side. Let's go get rich and make up for the last couple weeks where I've been off my game. We're going to get it. We're going to get back on track now that it's the international break. Okay, Tyler, hit us with it.
Over parlay, Vancouver and FC Dallas, and Red Bulls and Sporting.
Okay, and that was a parlay?
Okay. That's a parlay. Straight up.
Okay, straight up parlay.
Overs. Six MLS games on this match day 31 during the international break, which all of the MLS coaches absolutely love playing during the international break.
Yes,
by the way,
I'm sure.
they all adore it. Yeah.
All right, Mitchell, where are you sending us for our monies?
We got 3 games, all international, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, you got Argentina-Chile. I like Argentina to keep a clean sheet against Chile. I like Norway money line over Kazakhstan. That's on Friday. And then Saturday, England-Ireland. England money line. Don't overthink that one. You put them all together, you're at plus 337.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like great odds for a three-team parlay.
I mean, it's England money line over Ireland. That's you're at minus 190 for that. Your Norway money line over Kazakhstan. That's minus 225. And Argentina, Chile, you got even odds. So
Is Haaland playing?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think he was called in.
I'm trying to make money. I'm not trying to go crazy. I'm trying to make profit.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to make some bread for the nice loyal listeners out there. Okay, Mikey, what do you got for
Plus
us?
430 future bet.
Ooh.
Sevilla's going down.
Oh, that is a spicy meatball right there.
I've bet them
Spicy
and watched
paella.
them each week of this campaign, and that team has absolutely no idea what it is. Saul is playing up top on occasion. He's getting sent off for saying bad words in Spanish. The team itself is in complete disarray. They have no ownership of the ball. I really mean this when I say they are the most disappointing team I've watched in all of the leagues that I've watched in the last.
Come on, Everton has to be up there.
They're up there, but at least they looked like they were in a position to take points.
Yeah, they did score 2 goals, and there was some happy
That
moments.
might be worse. I'd rather just be put out of my misery.
Really good point. No, I think at this point, I mean, everyone wants to talk about Valencia. Listen to me. This is my inner discourse. Everyone wants to talk about Valencia's disappointing start. No, but it's Sevilla.
Everyone wants to talk about Valencia.
Everyone wants to talk about Valencia's bad start. But I think Sevilla is the most disappointing team in the top 5 leagues so far this season. We'll see them go down plus 430.
I can't hate that because I just watched that game against Girona, and they were just there was nothing there. They were
The
lifeless.
Vigo one was worse.
Okay, there we go. Let's put a bow on this episode. It is. I can take this hat off now. It's getting extra hot with that on. Jesus. All right, we'll go to Ivan Toney's. Oh no, we're gonna go to GOAWs. GOAWs time. So I only have a couple. I usually have a huge long list, but I still won't go first. It's as the host, I don't want to take anybody's pick. So Tyler, what do you got for us on GOAWs?
Casemiro for what will probably be his last game in the Premier League.
that bad? I'll give a quick shout
If
out.
if Ugarte's registered, why would you keep him?
Yeah.
Why would you keep him?
It was that bad.
Is the Saudi window still open? I'm just saying.
Turkey is.
So that was one of the goals I had for it, but it wasn't going to be Casemiro. It was actually going to be Casemiro's wife, because I believe it was either at halftime or during the game. She posted a photo of his trophy case. That's what she posted.
Oh boy,
that's ride or die right there. After the worst,
you
45
think
minutes.
that you think that started a fight at the dinner table? You know, my mom actually almost did that. She said she almost tweeted back at somebody who was being mean to me on Twitter, and I was like, just so you know, you can do that, but we will never speak to each other ever again. If you on Twitter as Heidi Terrans with no picture, come to my defense. Like if my wife ever did that, or my significant other ever did that, like it's mortifying. Mortifying.
I love that your mom thought about it, though. That's amazing.
Terrible.
We're gonna have to go check her out on Twitter, see what she's been up to. If she's got that many takes in her head. All right, Mikey, who you got here for GOAWs?
Well, it's pretty funny that Casemiro's wife was visiting Jurassic Park yesterday. Speaking of people who are living on past performance, my GOAW this week. My GOAW this week. So last season, Ollie Watkins had 23 goals and 13 assists for Villa. And this season, he's the second best striker on his roster. John Duran has to be the GOAW. The start he's had to the campaign has been unbelievable. And if you've watched them, you know Watkins may seem undroppable, but he needed to have a good performance before this international break. He may get a shot to start the games again when they come back. But Unai Emery is not scared. He's giving him hooks at 60. It's a very, very clear warning. There's a better striker on this Villa team than Ollie Watkins right now. And going into the season, I don't think any of us would have been able to say that was going to happen.
I don't think anybody thought he was going to be on the roster, given everything that
we thought he's going to be at West Ham by now.
Who makes that kind of post and then comes out and scores 3 goals in the first 3 weeks of the season?
He's got like a 3 goal per 90 run right now. He's been great, genuinely great. So that's my GOAW.
That's good.
Can I tell a little story about John Duran, by the way?
Please.
Story time.
So it's 2022. It's the lone year that he played in MLS. And by the way, he only ended up making like 8 starts and 23 appearances or something like that. And everybody knew that he was going to go to Europe at some point in time. Athletically, he's just way more gifted and apt than anybody else, and he's just got a ridiculous motor and a great left foot. We're in New York City playing against NYCFC, and this is when I was traveling with the Chicago Fire, and, Apple TV wasn't a thing yet. And I had myself a night. I'm a commentator. I don't need to go out there and run 9 kilometers the next day. I just need to be able to speak the words, okay? So I had a little fun in New York, all right? I'm not gonna beat around the bush. All of my Hobart soccer buddies are over there, okay? We got on the piss a little bit that night, all right? I come back stumbling in at 2 a.m. My man John Duran with a backwards Yankees hat out is on his way out and gives me a fist bump on the way out and then just disappears into the Manhattan night. Okay? And we had a 3 o'clock kickoff at Yankee Stadium that next day. Okay? My man was leaving as I was stumbling in. So
I love him.
This dude is he's on a different level.
He just wanted some pizza. He just
Different
wanted
level.
a little pizza.
Sure.
Chopped cheese is available all hours of the night. That's
But
all
to be
I can
fair,
tell you.
he's 18. He was 18 years old at the time. So whether or not he was going to be able to get in anywhere, I have no idea. But all I know is that he was leaving.
Oh, those kebab, carts don't check ID. So I think he was okay.
What a player.
That's a great story. Who's left? I think Mitchell. You're the remainder here.
John Duran has gained a fan in me.
Me too. That's a great story.
That's awesome. I love that. And also, his finish this weekend was just gorgeous. That direct
Outrageous.
header over to glancing to the far side. Mwah. My GOAW this week is Trent for the difference in his body language from last week to this week, which he was obviously spoken to about. Now, I didn't think the body language last week was egregious. In fact, we've said this on here that it really wasn't a big deal. But people made a big deal about it on the interwebs, and he was very, very clear that someone was in his ear, whether it was club staff, whether it was teammates, whether it was coaching, about, hey, can you just look a little more, just have a little more team chemistry and attitude this week? And I've never seen a more smiley player get subbed off in the 70th minute. Threes all around the stadium as he's leaving. Big claps, big hugs at the end. Big way to the fans on the away end. Like just a clinic in body language. And that's why Trent's my go.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. He also scored the goal that we actually chalked off, and he came over and did the Steven Gerrard celebration, which would have been nice. Would have been nice. He could have posted that. He could have pulled a Garnacho and still posted that on his Instagram, but he didn't.
Only if you lose or draw are you allowed to make that sort of post with a chalked off goal.
Okay. Oh, I would love that. My Goa is, I just got one. His name is Joe Murphy. And he is a member of the GKU, which obviously I have some thoughts back and forth. Did I want to go with him? But listen, he is I think he's 43 years old now. This is an incredible stat. He started, it might have been his debut, I'm not sure. In 2000, he started a game in the League Cup as an 18-year-old. He started for Tranmere Rovers against Leicester in the League Cup. This is 2000. Now, in the year 2024, of our Lord, as a 43-year-old, he just started for Tranmere Rovers in the League Cup against Leicester. And that is absolutely just bonkers. The fact that he could do, I do think it speaks to the fact that a goalkeeper can just kind of stand around, but the fact he's standing around at this high level for that long.
Or Tranmere are just really desperate.
I was about to say it means a lot about Tranmere Rovers.
Or that. I wanted to give a positive spin, though. And then just a couple things. Sad news. Two players, or one former player and one player. Juan Izquierdo, who's a player in Uruguay. He collapsed last week, and then it was a heart thing in the middle of the game. It was one of those scenes that you never want to see. He passed away in hospital, and then Saul Bamba, who I think a lot of people will probably remember. He's now, I think he was a sporting director as of a month or two ago in Turkey. He just sort of out of the blue passed away. So two sad news to pass along. And there we go. Guys, thank you, Mikey, Tyler, Mitch, everybody who's listening. You guys are the best. Thank you guys and girls. We'll be back next week. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. See you guys then.